Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
The Gundamverse is a pretty cool setting, right? A pretty cool universe. A lot of really cool series out there, great designs for Gundams and mass-produced mobile suits, mobile armors, etc. Interesting characters, and retellings of certain events. But behind all that, looming as an ever-present threat, no matter the slice of the Gundamverse you're looking at, is something that has happened in original Gundam, in Universal Century a bunch, and also in other settings. That is absolutely devastating, particularly grim and dark, something you might expect to see out of a 40k scenario than in the Gundamverse, but they definitely did it. And I'm talking about colony drops, a worthy discussion point for spooky season. What's going on, everybody? Glad you could join me to hang out for a bit here. I hope you're doing well. This is going to be my Halloween 2025 Gundamverse video, colony drops. We're approaching Halloween, so I figured why not discuss something that permeates more than one Gundam series. And this definitely fits that bill. Before we get started, be sure to consider alpha striking that subscribe button and hitting that bell just like Leo Cannon Type suggested. It's free and easy to do, and it will help you be better informed when I do get videos posted to the channel and when I do occasionally go live, as best as YouTube tends to do for stuff like that. So I hope you consider taking that shot. Now, colony drops. This is a thing that's rather insane, right? I mean, think about it. The very idea is definitely more akin to something you'd expect out of 40k or something along that jazz, maybe even StarCraft, than the Gundam universe. But it's happened multiple times, the worst of which only left about 1% of the human population on Earth living, which is rather crazy. And even in settings where it doesn't actually happen, like Gundam Wing, it was the original tactic for Operation Meteor, and then it would attempt to happen again with the Libra, and then it would attempt to happen again in Endless Waltz, right? So you have settings that either have done it or try to do it. It's akin to the disaster that is the Necroma Nightmare incident in Battletech with the rogue asteroid impacts, only in this case it's not rogue asteroids, but the pinnacle of human achievement in space. It's equal parts devastation, desperation, and message, right? To commandeer a space colony and have it slam into the Earth, taking a crown jewel achievement of humanity to send this species into the stars to grow and to continue to expand. To take something like that and slam it into the cradle definitely is full of symbolism, in addition to being a desperation power move. It's also extremely pragmatic, but not exactly easy, because space colonies are measured in miles or kilometers, if that's more your jam for whatever reason, and that means they're huge. So when they measure them like that, there's a lot to have to take over and move. Now, thankfully, the space colonies have their own thruster adjusters, if you will, attitude adjustment thrusters and what have you, the ability to propel themselves, because, well, probably had to help do that to get them in the position that they wanted them to be at. Well, now you can take said colony and you could alter its course, get it on a collision course. You could even get pretty fancy with it to have it strike more or less close enough to where you want it to, which is typically the objective, because there's some type of hardened underground base they want to take out, and instead of doing a massive strike against it, they figure they could drop a city on them. I mean, that's basically what's going on, right? These things are miles large, or kilometers large, again, if that's your jam for whatever reason. So you're not just dropping a building on them, you're dropping like a small moon almost in some case. Like, it all depends on the size and in the setting, but it's not something small, and it's not insignificant. Even if a lot of the colonies tend to be either like a massive hollow ring or a massive hollow cylinder, there's still that massive word in the beginning, and there's still the other portions of it, the non-living portion, or living sector portions, the behind the scene portions, where the reactors and the sensors and the bridge control or whatever else might be. All of that is pretty dense, has plenty of technology in there. There's probably some reactors in there, in addition to solar arrays and everything else to help power such a massive complex. And you're going to take that and slam it into the ground. So chances are you're just going to nosedive it right through the atmosphere, just brute force through that. So you'll burn up, but not a lot of stuff. So the chances are when we see like the images of the space colonies that have like their satellites and other type of like pylons and stuff still intact about to hit the Earth, that probably wouldn't be the case. It'd probably be a lot more mangled up front nose area, burnt up. But it doesn't matter because space colonies are equal parts delicate and brutish. The delicacy that's not the right word. The delicate nature, here we go, of it comes from the fact that when it's used as a space colony, you really don't want to upset the balance of technology that's there to allow the people to live and function. You ruin life support or ruin gravitational control or anything like that for the space colony inhabitants, and you're going to have an absolute disaster scenario on your hands. There's a lot of people on these colonies. So on that front, damage to the space colony, attacking it, infiltrating it, force breaches, stuff of that nature are incredibly terrible. But if you're not using the space colony as a space colony anymore, but just a massive ramrod, it doesn't matter what damage happens. You could even get hit with a bunch of defensive missile strikes into it, nearly carving a third of it apart or whatever, and it doesn't matter. You're not there to land it in a parking lot to put it on display. You're there to absolutely annihilate whatever it comes in contact with. And if it becomes massive grape shot instead of a solid slug, then so be it, right? So it's really a win-win scenario once it gets to the point of no return of breaching the atmosphere. Now, what makes it extra brutal is, well, it's going to annihilate itself, and it's going to annihilate whatever it comes in contact with. It's going to have a huge ground zero situation diameter around it, right? Which means it's also more than likely going to kick up debris into the atmosphere, exotic particle stuff into the atmosphere. It's going to contaminate the land around it with not just radioactive stuff, but also potential biohazards, depending upon what all is in the colony and what gets mixed and what leaks and gets burnt up, and just it's generally a really bad time. And the message is clear: leave space alone or space will wipe you out, right? That's the idea. I mean, Earth doesn't have a similar response. They don't have a kill switch for colonies. They can't crash the moon into anything, and you can't take the Earth for a joyride to just headbutt colonies. The best you have is to send out an attack force to cripple colonies, which is a horrible idea, right? The PR would be a nightmare. Don't get me wrong, forcibly crashing a space colony into the Earth is a PR nightmare as well, but it's a power move, and there's a power move that the space faction, whatever it might be, has that the Earth does not. Now, to be fair, the Earth can always do the whole closed border situation where so much for trade, you guess you're not getting your supplies, because as much as they try to be, they're not completely self-sustaining as a space colony per se, which is, again, the slow strangulation method, which is equally horrific, just for the people in space as opposed to people on Earth. So colony drops happen when you have somebody desperate enough or fanatical enough for the cause to really try and make moves happen, make plays happen in big broad strokes, is what I was trying to say there. It's a fantastic plot point to kind of bring people together or see disaster response, but it's an absolute nightmare scenario whenever it happens. Now, the Seventh Space War would see a multitude, the biggest colony drop ever to happen, that would basically cause, like I said, nearly or 99% basically of people wiped out. The nuclear winter and whole climate change and introduction of diseases, extinction level events. But it wouldn't take that many successful colony drops for that to happen. It probably would only take a few. Now, the outright loss of life may be smaller, but the global ramifications of a nuclear winter and fallout and contamination and even new disease and extinction level events would be there with just a few colonies to drop. Now, to kind of round out this dark and brooding concept is what happens to the people? Well, in original Gundam, the answer is quite simple. Sometimes they were gassed. The population would be wiped out, and then the cylinder, the space colony, whatever, utilized as the ramrod. Or maybe they were evacuated, and whatever the case is, those are your only two options. Well, there's option 3, which is equally more horrific. You just commandeer the space colony, and those people who can't escape are now on a one-way trip to Earth, which is terrifying. In any case, though, no matter how you slice it, every colony drop is an absolute nightmare scenario, and the fact that we've seen this happen not once, not twice, but as plot points or background setting setups multiple times really shows the length as which certain factions will go to try and get their point across for victory. It's kind of like mutually assured destruction, only instead of utilizing actual ordnance, you're utilizing livelihoods, more or less. You're utilizing the ability to live in space. These are finite after all, and it probably takes a while to make one, and probably not the chief thought to happen during said conflicts. So if you find yourself in control of some space colonies, my best recommendation would be to not drop them on the Earth. That's all I'm saying. But what would your recommendation be? Share it in the comment section. Bit of a random one, kind of all over the place, but I just wanted to drive home more so the concept of a colony drop and just how horrific it is in comparison to just how we see it happen in a show or as a background information thing. It's happened in Universal Century the most, but I do believe we see it occasionally here and there, or at least as a plot point for alternate scenario things. Something akin to this would be Gundam 00's space elevator situation. A little bit different, but similar in concept. Could have been that much more devastating if, well, the whole plot didn't happen the way it happened. But still, not a good time. With that said, again, thanks so much for tuning in and stopping by. What are your thoughts on the colony drops? I think colony drops can make a fantastic plot point for like a movie segment, or could be a really cool plot point for a future video game. It's one of those things where it's like, wow, we're in full-on desperation mode. This is ridiculous. It doesn't matter which setting either, because one of the things I will say about the settings is we see some pretty interesting colony designs, space colony designs. So doesn't matter which they are, they're all equally huge and devastating. Anyways, that's all I got for you this time. So until next time, take care.